How to pay no property tax in retirement. I'm telling you, my friends, this is big and something that never really crossed my eyesight until old Annette from Texas, Tejas. Yeehaw, Tejas! Just listen to a song by a band. I don't know what they're called. Because the song was "I Want to Be a Mexican." Oh, it was a great song. Dude, you kidding me? You going left here? It was a great song. Why would you go left here? You could have gone left up there. Oh boy. Anyway, so man, you look it up. "I Want to Be a Mexican." It was a great song, man. Oh my God, I love that kind of old-timeish country where they used to be able to joke and laugh. And oh man, now country music is just so bad now. At least the mainstream country music in Nashville. I literally would rather listen to Cher with hanging out with freaking Hillary than listen to freaking on New Year's Eve in New York City with Mayor de Blasio. Than listen to new style country music. It is so bad. Nashville, why would you want to move to Nashville? Talk about a big lib town. The guys who own the Predators. That's why Tennessee will soon be blue. You heard it here first, my friends. You heard it here first. Anyway, so going back to no property tax. So Annette emailed me, and I said, "Where are you trying to move, Annette?" Or something like that. We're talking. And she sent me a link to Lauderdale County, Alabama, which is north Alabama, west of Huntsville, and a beautiful, beautiful area of the country. Freaking people up there just are crushing every which way to Sunday. Love it. It's kind of over by Muscle Shoals, that area. Muscle Shoals, that sounds familiar. Yeah, it's a Leonard Skinner song or something like that. I didn't know where it was until I looked it up. I said, "Ooh, I like it." Anyway, so Annette said, if your income is below a certain threshold, you don't pay property tax. I said, interesting. So I said, "Annette, would you want to do me some research and find some other counties that do the same thing?" And she goes, "No, I'd rather not. I got other things to do your research." So I started looking up. And so, like, my mom lives in Rockingham County, Virginia. I sent them an email this morning or yesterday. Hall County, Georgia, right here. Fulton County, Georgia. Gilmer County, Georgia. Botetourt County, Virginia. And they all have exemptions if your income is below a certain threshold. Isn't that interesting? And what is your income based on? It's based on your 1040. Again, be poor on paper. Like, for instance, in Hall County, if memory serves, that's where Gainesville is. And Hall County kicks ass, dude. I love Hall County. It's right north of Gwinnett County. Do not come down here and move to Gwinnett County. Do not. You heard it here first. Don't flip and do it. Do not retire to Gwinnett County. Anyway, long story. If you live in Gwinnett County, you know what I'm talking about. You know it. You know what I'm talking about. It's like living in Fulton County. Get the H out of D, man. I'm telling you, you don't want to be in these places. Anyway, long story short, because I live in Fulton County. In Hall County, if memory serves, if you had basically they would give you, I almost want to say, a $4,000 property tax exemption. I can't remember off the top of my head, but something like that. Not a $4,000 exemption like a homestead exemption, a $4,000 property tax exemption. So if your property tax is $5,000, you only pay $1,000. $4,000 if your income is lower than your Social Security amount or something like that. I was like, wow. And what's your income? It's your AGI. Isn't that interesting? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So what does that mean? If you can make your income low enough, i.e. living off your Roth, living off your savings account, living on Social Security, your income will be lower than your Social Security as according to AGI, without question. Which means you don't have to pay much, if any, property tax whatsoever. Remember, property tax is retirement. It's one of the biggest expenses you're going to have, my friends. Property tax and income tax. Now, for a lot of people, income tax isn't near the big deal they think it is. It's just not. Look, I've been doing financial planning since 1998. I've dealt with thousands of clients over my career. I'm just telling you right now, income tax, for most people in the United States in retirement, is not a big deal. I'm just telling you as it is, man. You heard it here first, your old buddy. Why would I steer you wrong? I'm not gonna. It's just, I mean, people think, I gotta leave California, I gotta leave Maryland. No, you don't. It's always the feds. It's never the state. Now, there's reasons to leave California and Maryland, but it's not because of income taxes. It just is not. So you got to get over this thing with income tax. Now, if you're, like I was talking to a guy the other day, a couple $1 million in a pre-tax account, yeah, he's going to get spanked, man. You know, he lives in a northeastern state. He's going to get spanked. There's no two ways around that. That's not good. We don't want to be there. We want to be exclusive of this. Now, you can't really blame him, and the reason I say is because dude, what are you doing, man? you can't really blame him because he makes a lot of money and he had to put money in. He didn't have to, but putting money in pre-tax makes sense because he is in a high tax bracket. So even though he's going to get swamped in taxes upon retirement, it'll still be less than his income tax while he's working. And then you got to factor in FICA. I mean, it's just when you're making a lot of money. I know it sounds good, but when you're a corporate stooge making a couple of $100,000-$300,000, that seems like you're in a good place. I'm telling you, man, after taxes and FICA, state tax, you're losing a third of your income right out the gate. I'm just telling you this, man. Then you're saving all this money in your 401k and whatnot. You're not netting nearly what you think. It's being an upper mid-level manager in corporate America, making a couple $100,000-$300,000 isn't as profitable as it seems. Must be nice. I get you. If you can move to a state that's tax-free, like Tejas or something like that, that makes sense. But or New Hampshire. I was talking to these guys, and so why don't you move to New Hampshire? They said we don't want to. It's okay. All right, so old Governor is going to get his fair share. Anyway, so a lot of these counties, so like in Botetourt County, and again, it said Botetourt County, Virginia, is just freaking crushing there. I love it. I could easily see myself retiring to Botetourt County. Maybe not Rockingham County, but the county north, like where Newmarket is. I forgot the name of that county actually, but and I didn't look at that. But again, they have these exemptions if you're elderly and they call it impoverished. Well, impoverished is based on what? It's based on your 1040. I cannot stress this enough. If your 1040 is low enough, you don't pay property tax or you get massive exemptions. Again, property tax is probably be a bigger extent of your expenditures in retirement than income tax, by and large. I mean, really, especially if you have a big house that like these people next to us just listed their home, and I couldn't believe what it's going for. But it's only 2 people. I'm like, why would you need the house that big? It doesn't make sense to me. I mean, people do whatever the hell they want, but I pay almost $8,000 a year in property tax here in Fulton County, Georgia, and I got a homestead exemption. You know what I'm saying? $8,000. If my expenditures are, say, $50,000 and property tax is $8,000, that's a pretty big hit of my total expenditures, man. Now, what's the other big hit? It's going to be Medicare. Right? Medicare, not much you can do about Medicare. Oh, Medicaid, you said don't go on Medicaid. You don't want to go on Medicaid. You don't want your parents to go on Medicaid. I don't know why this is so hard to understand. You don't want to be on Medicaid. People get really wrapped up. I'm like, dude, don't go on Medicaid. You don't want that. Have people not seen a Medicaid facility? It's not all that in a bag of chips. Now, are there some allotments for uppy hoity-toity places that have Medicaid recipients? Yes. Are you going to get it? Probably not. Space A, essentially, space available. Do you know what Space A means? If you're Private Joe Snuffy, you're not getting on an airplane, a military hop. But if you're friggin' General MacArthur, you will. Space A. Same thing with freaking Space A, space availability on Medicaid, man. Yeah, you might get it, but you might not. Probably you won't, because a lot of people are wanting that. And to be diverse, if you're white, they're probably saying we need more minorities in here. So you're not getting it. And who do you think is cared for last in a Medicaid facility if you're the only Medicaid recipient in a hoity-toity rock and roll place? It's going to be you, the Medicaid facility recipient. Why? Because you should be lucky to be there, they'll think. You can't blame people for that. Man, I don't understand this whole, I want to go to Medicaid. I'm like, what? But Josh, you're saying be poor in paper so that way you can get no property tax, no income tax. Yeah, because you're paying the tax now. Again, if you're in a 33% tax bracket, like my man I just talked to, probably not. But if you're in a 22% tax bracket, you should pay the tax now. That way you can qualify for all kinds of discounts later. As an impoverished retiree, you're poor on paper. You're still paying the tax. The whole thing with transferring your assets to a revocable trust from Medicaid is the asset transfer is not a tax event because you have basically, I'm not going to say an unlimited gift tax, but I can't remember the gift tax exemption. Not the $16,000, that's called annual exclusion. That's what you can give away each year without taxation. I'm talking about your lifetime exemption, and it's like $5 to $10 million. I can't remember what it is. I just can't remember. But anyway, it's a lot more money than you and I got. Let me tell you that right now. So you can gift a bunch of money to revocable trust. That's tax-free. All right. Your kid is the trustee of said irrevocable trust, but you know in your heart, mind's eye, as do I, that you're still managing it without question, and that's not the way it's supposed to be. And so what will happen? I'm just telling you, if you think the IRS isn't keen on this, you're freaking nuts. The IRS is going to clamp down on that the minute they can, or your state Department of Revenue will say, hey, this is not an appropriate gift. You still had too much. There wasn't arm's length between the gift you made and the trust. And as such, that is going to go right back to your estate. And all the Medicaid benefits, because remember, Medicaid is paid for by the state primarily, all right? That's the whole thing with the Obamacare stuff. They wanted to give a bunch more states on Medicaid, and they did that by offering them some incentives for like John Kasich, that freaking clown. He fell for it hook, line, and sinker because he's a fool. So he was the governor of Ohio. He expanded his Medicaid because the federal government was going to make it right under his, basically wasn't going to cost him anything under his governorship. So he could say, look, I'm expanding Medicaid and it's not costing us $1. It's not costing you $1, you freaking clown, while you were in office. The minute you were kicked out, though, it's costing the next governor and the taxpayers $1 because Obamacare is very, it said explicitly, we'll basically subsidize this for the next 4 years or something like that. But after year 5, you're on your own, baby. You know what I'm saying? That's just such a clown show. And idiots like Kasich fell for it because they're scumbags. I cannot stand those type of Republicans. Oh, they all talk a big game. Paul Ryan, Kasich, what's that Shavitz guy from Utah? Freaking Joe Scarborough. But when it comes time to it, they're like, no, I'm selling my soul for rock and roll. And they all did. All did. They're all fake, man. It just drives me up the wall, which is why the Republican Party is just horrible. Let's hold on there, Sniffy. Anyway, so what we do is we try to keep our income low. Then we contact our county. We say, hey, county, do you have an exemption for elderly and poor people? And they'll say, yes, we do, as a matter of fact. And you have to fill it out. In Hall County, you got to go down there and show your tax returns. I think the same thing in Gilmer County. You go down there, show your tax returns, and lo and behold, what does your tax return show you? It shows you got no income. None. Okay. Why? Because you are poor on paper. You've been following what I've been telling you to do and how to be poor on paper. It's completely legit, completely legal. But who's going to pay for the schools? You've already paid your school system. You've already paid your school tax, dude. I tell you, we should make it so elderly people have no property tax anyway. That's just a fact. They should say, you're over the age of, we can say 70, just to appease the libs. Because the libs love the property tax because it goes to school districts. The school districts use all that money to promote their liberal nonsense. And the teachers, NEA, and the AFT, the American Federation of Teachers, and the NEA. It's such a freaking scam. Such a scam. Those teachers' unions are evil. Anyway, so what happens is, and if you're a member of the teachers' union, that doesn't mean you're evil, but your leadership is. I certainly hope that you voted against the clown leaders. I don't know who runs the NEA anymore, but I know Randy Weingarten runs the AFT, and she should be in prison. Anyway, so what happens here is, you say, I already paid my tax, so schools do. How much more do you need? You need freaking blood from me? But the schools, they make sure we have a civilized society. Do they now? Is that what's happening? Is that what's happening with the Drag Queen Story Hour? Is that what's happening with civilized society? Where a kid who wears a marriage is between a husband and, always to say, a man is a man, a girl is a girl, he gets kicked out of school. Did you hear about that t-shirt some kid has? Some freaking crushing kid, I think it was in Massachusetts or something like that. Kid was just freaking taking it to him. A man is a man or something like that. And he kicked him out of school. Because it hurts people's feelings. Yeah, whatever happened to the freedom of the left? The left doesn't want freedom. They want freedom for them, but not for you. Oh, well, we fell for it. We fell for it. Which is why, for you got to take what you can get. And you take what you can get by playing by the rules. The rules say you pay the taxes now, you don't pay the taxes in the future. If you follow my examples on YouTube. All right, love to hear your thoughts. And as always, don't forget we're going to be going live tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to interview Gary and BB, who've gone from the corporate nonsense to owner of Homestead, and speaking of which, in Ohio. And they're crushing. You see the pictures of the moo cows, the raised beds, their gardens. It's just it's beautiful, beautiful. And that could be you too. See ya.